In this video, we're going to look at 10 different endgame plays from the most recent Duo Cash Cup finals and rate them as either good or bad so we can learn what to do and what not to do, so let's go. Starting in our first endgame, Acorn and Cold have been tarping on the low ground for most of this endgame and are on the low ground at the end of the 9th zone. This team has great materials and they are looking to win this game, but right as the 9th zone is about to close, Cold is looking for some spray eliminations. This is bad because this resulted in Cold getting hit hard right before the 10th zone revealed itself. In turn, this forced Cold to use a slurp juice, which delayed their 10th zone rotation. Because their 10th zone rotation was delayed, Acorn ends up getting jumped on and dies in a death that would have been completely avoidable if Cold had just kept his edits closed right before the zone closed. Moving a little earlier into the endgame, Cammy and Seti are in the 8th zone and it's about to close. While it's about to close, Seti already has an edit open on a safe angle and he and Cammy start to use slash juices 1 second before the zone finishes closing. This is good because if the zone had played that direction, Seti had already pre-scattered out exactly how he was able to rotate out the 9th zone. Speaking of good rotates, let's look at how throughout the endgame, Bacon and Skivvy are constantly staying within 1 tile of each other. This is good because it allows them to make plays together and it allows them to be incredibly efficient with their materials and their healing. With 0 refreshes, this team was able to win the game from mid-ground with 1 kill, and that kill was the last player in a 2v1. This endgame looked incredibly easy, and that was almost entirely because of their amazing spacing between each other. Instead of looking at some great duo plays, what about we take a look at Rapid, who is left as a solo in the Game 6 endgame of the Cash Cup, and he goes into the zone to use his med mist. This is good because it allows him to hide in the zone as a solo instead of getting focused in the zone. This allows him to find slurp juices, more med mists, and materials, which together allows him to clutch up a 2nd place in this game. Staying with some more NA East and NA West team combos, Reet and Rituals are in the mid-ground with 26 builds on the 4th moving zone, and Reet has just gotten a kill into Aviv with an exotic heavy shotgun. Considering this team doesn't have a ton of materials, they drop onto the low ground to play for Aviv's mats. These materials allow them to claim the low ground on the 12th moving zone and win the game. But this low ground drop was actually bad because they still had some materials to use when the final moving revealed, and by dropping down onto the loot, they put themselves in the middle of a valley surrounded by large hills while not knowing where the final moving will pull. If the final moving played up any of these hills, Ritual and Reet would have instantly been dead, but thankfully for them, they got the best case scenario zone. But in endgames, it is better to make the play that is more consistent so you can have more consistent endgames. Going from low ground to high ground, Janeth and Reason are in the 8th zone and they are pretty deep into the 8th zone. This means that when the 9th zone plays through the dead side of the 8th zone, there is no one at the front side of the zone, which allows them to instantly sprint there and crank up and take height, which they held for the rest of the game and won. This was good because they appropriately identified when there was a free opportunity to take height, and they took this opportunity, which allowed them to win this game. Moving back down to the low ground, Cheatin and Glubshy have taken the low ground at the end of the 3rd moving zone, but they're starting to need a refresh. Glubshy sets up a great refresh by getting a full box onto Sinus. Glubshy then jumps into the box to try and finish off the kill. This is bad because he should have just played safe angle from inside his tarp, but because he jumped into the box, he turned this basically guaranteed kill into a 50-50 that he loses, scuffing the entire rest of their game. Going back up to the mid ground, Agers and Kanata are tarping in the 9th zone, and they're spraying down at teams trying to find some extra kill points. While they were distracted, Scented and Click start to break their floors and cones, and Agers and Kanata are able to quickly react to them before they are able to get both pieces. But when Scented and Clicks go to break their floors, they just hold them, hoping that they keep the floor. This is bad because they could have easily flipped this ramp over their head to add an extra layer between them and Scented in case Scented and Clicks grab their floor. Unfortunately, they don't do this, and this results in Kanata's death in this endgame. Moving earlier into the game, Hero and Marine are working on making the rotates into the 8th zone, and Marine goes ahead and makes the rotate just a couple seconds before Kiro. This was bad because it puts unnecessary space between this duo, and this resulted in Kiro getting killed. This mistake was most likely Marine's fault as he led the rotate, but if he had calmed exactly what the rotate was going to be and when they were going to rotate, this team might have been tagged once or twice, but they wouldn't have been instantly eliminated like they were here. Going back to the mid ground, Epic Whale and Muzz are tarping in the 10th zone, and they decide to tarp right next to a mountain. This is good because it allows them to block off an extra angle where they do not need to build, saving them materials, and they can't get sprayed from the side either, keeping them even safer. If you enjoyed this video, then I can guarantee that you'll also love the first part of this series on screen. Peace.